So today's going to be sort of an introduction to what we're going to try to do in the course, and then I'm also going to take you through like part of a lecture that you're going to be responsible for on your first take-home term test. How many of you have had a take-home term test before? A couple of you. How was the experience? What was it like? If you don't mind sharing. What course was that in?
It was for sociology.
Sociology?
Yeah, it was like a take-home exam.
Okay.
It just felt like another assignment, really.
Okay. How long did you have for your take-home?
About, I think
A week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was due on the last day of the semester.
Okay. Well, we'll go through how we're going to do it in this course, and then I'll take you through some other aspects of the course as well. At any point in time, if you have any questions, please let me know. Sorry it's a little bit dark in here, but those of you who were in here earlier know that if I hit one of those light switches, this room is going to start making a crackling sound, and it's going to sound like we're all about to be electrocuted. I'd rather not go through that if that's okay with you, so we'll try to get it fixed for the next class. We are going to try the best that we can to record all of the lectures, and there's a reason why, and I'll get to that a little bit later on. And I do really encourage you to show up to class as much as you possibly can. I know that in your final year of study or in your fourth year of study, that sometimes it's difficult to do that because life happens, you're busy doing applications, or you're busy because of extracurriculars, and you don't have to be in every class all the time, but I'd like you to feel free to communicate how best I can help you. So I'm going to introduce some of the guest speakers and what they're going to be talking about. It kind of runs the entire gamut of the clinical aspects, and this is 422 is a little bit different, so we're going to be doing the clinical aspects of various parts of health as well as disease. And so this year I happen to be really lucky because there's quite a number of diverse individuals who will be coming in to give you various talks. So Dr. Bilia is actually a cardiologist over at UHN. She's one of those really interesting individuals because it's really difficult for a woman in science and a woman in clinical research to be the head of her department, but she's really managed to do an excellent job of being an amazing leader as well as an amazing mentor. So we'll hear a little bit about her story. And then Monica Mayer, again, it's unusual to see women in emergency medicine, and she'll talk about her own experiences, how she got into medicine out of undergrad, etc. And not all of them had a linear route. So some of you are thinking, well, I may not be able to get into med school. You'll hear from Monica, like her journey and how she went to medical school was not a direct pathway, but you'll hear a little bit about that as well. Okay, not sure who's knocking at the door. That's interesting. That's it first. Hello. Come on in. We really haven't done very much yet, so welcome to the class. Thanks for knocking. That was awesome. And then we're going to hear a little bit about anesthesiology from Roland Shu. And again, he has an interesting career path as well. And I want you to hear about all of their career paths, and it's important to understand where they're all coming from. And then I asked two different individuals to come in and give you a talk. James, who is actually doing something unusual. So he's in grad school now, and then he'll tell you the rest of his story. He's currently in a lab doing a PhD, but he's actually not going to finish his PhD, and he's going to leave. And he'll talk to you about why he's doing that, etc. And everyone's looking at me in shock now. It's okay. He has a good ending to his story, and you'll hear about that. And Zaid, who will be coming in, also has a very interesting career path as well. How many of you have heard of entrepreneurship? Starting your own company, being an entrepreneur. So he's heard about all of that too, but he actually took the unusual step and he actually did it. So he finished his undergrad last year. He started his own company. He's been in the news an awful lot, and he'll come in and talk to you about some of the struggles and successes that he's had as an entrepreneur. If it's something that you're interested at all in, and it's not the traditional route for undergrads in life science to either think about professional school or graduate school, but like starting a business, and James is starting a business as well, like how that all plays out and how they could be your mentors or to help you in this process. And then we'll have two graduate students, Luke as well as Tao, come in and talk about their current experiences. They're in different years of study, but they also have some really interesting sort of life journeys that they've taken. And if you're thinking like, hey, I really don't know what I want to do after I graduate, that's okay too, because a lot of these individuals that are on this list are in exactly the same position that you were in. Like they weren't sure, and they didn't really have a firm plan. And you can ask them about their career journeys, which I'm hoping all of you will do. There was someone actually missing from this. Do you have any idea who's missing? So they're going to be coming in and talking about their experiences. Who's missing? Who else is going to talk in this course? And it's not me. Anyone else missing? Everyone's like going through the course syllabus. Yes. Yes, you. So I'm hoping to hear a little bit of your life story and how I can help you. So that orange sheet, you can fill in as much or as little of it as you want, but I do want to hear a little bit about your life story and how I can help you in that process. And you may or may not want to share. Any ideas why I have the pictures that aren't on your original slides? The acorn and the tree at the bottom. So those are the symbols of U of T. And how many of you are feeling like a majestic oak tree, like full bloom? Right? So you're in your final year of study, you've come from like the acorn, you're this oak tree, but I'm guessing that not everyone is kind of feeling like that right now. Like, yeah, I feel like I'm ready to go on with my life. That's okay too. Like a lot of individuals are kind of in that whole process where I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, and this is a course where we can explore different types of options. So I'd like you to communicate as much as you feel comfortable communicating with me. You can do this through email if that's the best way for you. If you're busy, you're working, you just don't feel comfortable coming in for office hours, feel free to contact me however you wish. Generally speaking, I don't have classes on Thursdays and Fridays, and I keep those open for office hours, and I'd love to see you. I'd love to know like how I can help you in this course and in other courses. So Thursdays and Fridays for this course will be sort of open for you, but if you can't make those times on Thursdays and Fridays because you have a full schedule or you're working, then you can always make alternate arrangements as well. I really do want you to do well in this course. Some of you are going to be asking, what was the course average like? And I can tell you the course average was really quite good last year, and the median was even better than the course average, but the course average turned out to be about an A, so I'm hoping that many of you will also have a similar journey this year, and if you don't, that's okay. My job is to try to help you do the best that you can, and when I say that you will be excellent in this course, I really do hope that you'll use this opportunity to learn different things. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the goals in this course, how you're going to be evaluated. I'm sure you have some questions about that. I was asking you questions, and I'm hoping to get some more feedback from you, how these presentations are going to work. And then I'm going to take you through one of the lectures, part of it, so it'll be about 15-20 minutes long. On your first take-home term test, we want to start off small, so we will have sign-ups for a take-home term test. You will sign up like when it's the most convenient for you. It will all be delivered online, and you will deliver the take-home term test back to me via Quarkus. So it will all be like online. You're not going to have a week. You're going to have about 48 hours for your first take-home term test. It'll be questions based on lectures. It'll be your own ideas. And today's lecture, the first one, where we're talking about how scientists succeed, that will actually be one of the questions, and we'll take that question up broadly before you actually do your very first take-home term test. But I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Do you have any questions so far? No. Are you guys doing okay? So has your first week and last week of classes gone well for you so far? Fourth year is a very different sort of feel, right? I'm hoping. Okay, so at any point, if you have any questions, please let me know. So we want to emphasize the clinical aspect. So you're going to kind of make use of, and you don't have to worry, because this is a question that comes up like every year. We change the topics around. This year, there's a little bit more of an emphasis on anesthesia. So that's Roland Shu. He'll be coming in. He's an anesthesiologist. And then surgery, again, cardiovascular surgery and emergency medical surgery. But we want you to integrate some of the background knowledge that you have in physiology. So they're going to talk about different parts of the heart, the cardiovascular system, the nervous system, and the impact of anesthetics. So we want you to integrate all that information, but you shouldn't feel uncomfortable that, oh, I don't remember most of PSL 300 and 301, although you probably do, right? But the bad parts of it, like the stress. So they're going to cover the different systems in a way that will make more sense to you, and hopefully you'll get the clinical side of why did you study all of that in undergrad in these courses. We are also going to heavily emphasize that this is a research-oriented university, so you keep hearing about it all the time. And it's one of those really bizarre things that everyone here at U of T is engaged in research at almost like every level. The dean is engaged in research, all the way down to you guys. I'm sure, how many of you are actually doing a research project? So a lot of you are, and if you haven't started and done a research project, that's okay too. I'd like to try to hear more about that and to see if there are ways for me to help. And this is also your opportunity to meet with different individuals, to hear about their life story, and to hear about how they got to where they're at. Not all of them are brilliant 4.0 GPAs. Is it possible to get into med school if you don't have that? What does grad school look like? What is the road to entrepreneurship? If you're starting out after 4th year, like what are all the hurdles? We want you to hear about that. And if you come to class, you'll hear about it. And if you also arrange to meet them outside of class, like we will pay for like whatever coffee thing that you set up, or if a group of you want to meet with them, we're happy to kind of arrange that for you as well. We do really want you to be good communicators. I know some of you aren't comfortable doing that. I'm not comfortable doing communication either, so I'm really not comfortable standing in front of a bunch of people that I don't really know well. So that is an uncomfortable thing, but I try my best to do it because I've had a lot of practice doing it. And for those of you who are thinking, so I had one student in a different class yesterday. As soon as she heard that there was group presentations, she got up and left. And I was like, okay, totally get that. And I asked like how people were feeling about them presenting and other things. I want us to feel like this is a small group, that you're all going to support each other. No one's going to be judging you if you come up here and you're nervous or you're not doing as well as you had thought in your head. That happens to me all the time. Like I'm lecturing and I'm thinking like this is going to go this way, and then I start saying an awful lot, and I keep getting into this cycle. So it's all okay. So we'll work on all of that together, and the more practice you get, the better off you'll be in being able to present. So here's this other thing. If you look in the syllabus, and you don't have this slide, and it's okay, this paper that came out that most of your instructors are going to be talking to you about, this is a paper that came out in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences on Monday, and one of the, or last Monday, and one of the papers, what they were talking about was the fact that, do you guys like going to class and hearing lectures? Are you comfortable with that? Right? So one of the things that they found is that if you go to lectures and you have this amazing lecturer, you're going to feel like you've actually learned a lot. Like, do you ever have that impression? And it turns out that actually that learning, because of how you get tested later, is actually the worst. So you actually don't learn anything. And the best way for you to learn, especially in 4th year, is to work on a small project using active learning. So you'll become experts on a paper, you'll present it, and this is very uncomfortable for most of you because you're not used to presenting, you're not used to working in groups, but it turns out that the research says that this is the best form of learning for everyone, including like the instructors in a course. So we're going to work on that uncomfortableness together, and I'm hoping that as a class that we'll all come together and learn as much as we can together. And I'm hoping to learn from you, to be quite honest. So these are all of the guest speakers that are coming in. So we have Monica, who is doing emergency medicine both at Sunnybrook as well as at St. Michael's Hospital. Then we have an anesthesiologist, Dr. Roland Shu. Sorry, I could not find a good picture of him, so I just quickly pulled something off of his Facebook page. I don't know if he still has time to play the violin. I'm hoping he does. And then we will talk to Tao and Luke, who are currently doing a master's and a PhD for Luke in cardiology. They're kind of in the same field as Dr. Phyllis Bilia, who, again, amazing if you think about all the things that she's done. It's really hard being a female cardiologist. It's really hard to be a leader of a unit. And it's really hard to also be a scientist, and it's really hard to balance all of that with a family. And so she's just an amazing mentor, and I'm hoping that she'll be able to impress upon you that no matter what sort of obstacles you're thinking are blocking your pathway right now, she's overcome all of them, like literally all of them. So she'll talk to you about her career journey. She'll also, because she's kind of mean that way, she was my TA when I was in undergrad. And she'll tell you like what a bad student I was, and I'll look forward to kind of sitting there hearing all of that again. And again, we have James, who is going to be leaving grad school to kind of pursue other ventures, and Zaid, who was actually a fourth-year undergrad last year, and now is the CEO of his own company, looking at exome sequencing in health and disease. So he's kind of translated what he learned in class, started his own company, and has gone into entrepreneurship. Okay, so now we get to talk a little bit about course evaluation. So here is what we're proposing to do, and some of you will have some questions. So our very first sort of evaluation is going to be on October 1st. So I'm hoping that all of you, does everyone know everyone else in this room? Is there anyone here that knows like every last person in this room? Because I don't. Do you know at least 2 or 3 other people? No. Wow. Okay. Tough class. Okay. So I'm hoping that you know at least a few other people. If you don't, we're going to get to know everyone. But I want you to get comfortable working in groups, and I can guarantee you that if you get a good group that you're comfortable communicating with, everything will go great. But I also can tell you that if you get into a group where you're not comfortable communicating and the other group members aren't, then things will go not so great. And I don't want that experience for any of you in this course. So that first presentation, it will be a group, it will be a trial. You could stick with that group for the rest of the course, or you might decide that you want to try something different. And that will be on October the 1st. And we'll give you some initial feedback, what I'm looking for in the bigger presentation that you'll be doing later on in the course. And then we have this take-home term test. And I had asked some of you earlier, like, do you know what a take-home term test is? So you will all have the same question. You will all be submitting it to turn it in. You don't need to do a lot of research. If you've come to class and taken notes, that first term test is all about what you've heard about in class, and it's about giving back some responses. And that's why we're going to be recording all of the lectures for you, so you can go back and listen to it. You only have 48 hours though, so there's really, like, if you're catching up like on 3 or 4 lectures online, you're not going to have as much time. I can tell you, or let me ask you, you're given 48 hours, so you sign up and you say that I'm going to start on this Monday of that week, the week of October 8th, and I'm going to take 48 hours and I'm going to submit it back by, like, if you start on Tuesday, I'll submit it back by Thursday, and it'll all be done online. And you have the full 48 hours to think about it, work on it. It's up to you to figure out where in your schedule that's going to work best. Some students wait until like the weekend. Some students work on the weekend, so that may not work for you. How long do you think it takes on average to finish a 48-hour take-home? On average, yes.
2 hours?
2 hours. Wow, that would be a really easy take-home. Okay, good guess. Any other answers? Yeah, Phil.
Like 5 hours?
5 hours. Okay. Any other guesses? Any other ideas? So on average, it's about 6 hours. And when I asked students last year after the take-home term test, Like, why did it take you 6 hours? So a lot of students just really wanted to read it over, kind of edit it, make sure that it was good before it was submitted. So it's not going to be incredibly long, but you're going to have to determine, because some of this is about setting your own pace in this course, what 48-hour block is going to be working best for you. At the bottom, there's this little asterisk saying that late penalties apply. What would you do if something happened in the course of writing your term test and you weren't able to finish and submit by 48 hours? What might you do? Yes, please email me. Like, if something comes up and you had planned to do this, but your shift has changed at work, or it turns out that someone's gotten really sick and you've had to go away and you're going to need like an extra 12 hours or another day, then that's fine. There will be no late penalties, but you should always try to communicate the best that you can. And then you're going to have the same sort of format of a take-home term test for the final exam. There, it's going to be 72 hours, so you'll have like a couple of questions from lecture, and then you're going to analyze a paper that is similar to the one that you presented. So you'll be experts in the field. Then I'm going to find a paper that's similar to the one that you have chosen to present and to do a write-up on, and then I'm going to send that paper and the test questions to you, and then you'll have 72 hours to be able to read through the paper and then to be able to answer some questions on that paper. Okay, does that sort of tell you a little bit about the take-home term test and the final exam? And again, you'll be able to sign up whenever you feel ready for that 72-hour block, and we do stretch it out over a longer period so that we know the last 2 to 3 weeks of class gets really, really hectic, so you'll have to figure out what block works best for you. Any questions or suggestions? Yes?
Sorry, the take-home final is based on the second presentation paper that you have?
Yes. So let's say you really loved learning about cardiomyocytes, and you really love learning about how cardiomyocytes might be useful in repair of damaged heart after like a heart attack. You'll hear that several times, both in emergency medicine, in cardiology, etc. And that's what you presented on, and you found a paper, you presented it. So I'll find something similar. It'll be short. It won't be like a massive 20-page paper. I know that it will take you a couple of hours to read it. I'll send that paper and the test questions to you. But it will be the topic that you've chosen, not one that I've chosen.
It's not a group, it's individual, right?
So everyone in the group will get the same paper, but you'll all write up your own responses. So your analysis might be completely different than your partners. Any other questions that I can answer for you now? No? Nothing? Nothing so far? Okay. So again, I'm going to ask you to start thinking about this early. The earlier you start choosing your papers and the earlier you start getting into groups, and I'm going to give you some time. We're going to end a little bit early. I'd like you to try to figure out groups of like 4 to 5 seem to work best. Groups of 6 are really, really hard to coordinate everyone. So 4 to 5 last year worked really well for most individuals. And I ask you to sign up on Quirkus. Just tell me like that you have a group. If you don't have a group by the 20th, that's okay. I need to help you find the group. And then start thinking about some of the details of your paper. Like what paper might you be interested in? Last year, it kind of ran the entire gamut. Things from like apoptosis, cancer research, things related to cartilage repair, because students were interested in it based on their own personal experiences. As long as it's related to health and disease and it's a recent paper, like I'm interested to hear what you're interested in. So it could be like on anything. It'll be a relatively short presentation, about 10 minutes per group. And then I'm going to also ask you to help as part of that participation to give some feedback, anonymous feedback on that presentation as well. Okay, so I really want you to be able to support your peers and to see like, and when you get those peer evaluations back, hopefully they're in alignment with what evaluation I gave you. Most students did incredibly well on the first presentation, but you'll also get your peer evaluations back as well. Any questions on that before we go on? So later, you'll be doing longer presentations. So these are a little bit longer, 15 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer. The full presentation will be 20 minutes. We usually leave about 2 to 3 minutes for questions, but it's generally like best to try to target a 15-minute presentation. And this could be either like your first experience with your group members went so well, and this happened like last year, that you decided to just carry on, or it might turn out that the paper that your group is now choosing to do as the final presentation isn't something that you're really interested in at this point, so you might want to find a different partner. That happened also last year, and again, you can either do it in pairs or in the same groups if you want, and we'll again have sign-ups, and these will be the last sort of 3 weeks of class. I will be hoping to meet with you before you do your presentation. The job is to prepare you really well for the presentation, not to kind of just sit back and then find fault in the presentation that you prepared. Because what would be the point in doing that? So you figure out your topic, you work with your group, you come in, you go through your slides, then I'm going to try to make some suggestions for you. Hopefully you'll include some of those suggestions, and then you'll come in and give like a really good presentation for everyone, and you'll understand the paper a little bit better, okay? And those will be sort of the dates. Have you guys gotten all of your course schedule sort of set out? Do you guys map out like all of the assignments and when they're due? So you guys already have that in your scheduling thing. How many of you actually are able to follow through like everything that you've scheduled in your course planner? Like you actually are able to follow through on every last one of them. Wow, that's incredible. Everyone go to Phil's group, because he has a plan. I can never get everything to work. Like I always plan things, and then things kind of fall off the rails a little bit for me. So here's where we're going to do things a little bit differently. So you are going to also, the same paper that you've chosen for your final project is going to be important. And you can think about it however you want. Like you can think about it strategically, you can think about it out of interest, you can think about it out of comfort. And by that I mean like, hey, I've had a lot of courses so far that have dealt with cancer or cancer mechanisms, or I've had a lot of courses where I haven't learned anything about this and I'm really interested in learning more, or that you just want to play it safe. It's up to you guys how you decide to choose the topic, but that last paper, think a little bit about it. You're going to get a final take-home exam based on a similar paper. So if you are like completely ignorant of like a certain topic, that might not be the best route to go unless you know that you have a lot of time to prepare and do background research. Then you're going to present it. So also important. And then you're also going to be writing a book chapter, which we're going to include sort of as a literature review, and that's going to be your final group project together. And then this will sort of be a background review that we're going to publish online for you, and will actually not just be sort of an online review, it will actually become part of the eCampus Ontario textbook collection. So other individuals in different universities will be reading your work, so I'm hoping it's good because you're going to have to account for it. And so it is something that you'll be able to take away from the course. And I'll show you last year's textbook that was created, so you'll have an idea of what to be able to expect, and I will give you some guidelines around all of that. Okay, so a lot of your mark actually depends on being able to do all of these different things. So, how many of you have had talks on plagiarism? Did you have any this year, in your 4th year so far? Yes. How scary is that to hear? Kind of scary, not scary? Okay, so it's one of those things that we take very, very seriously, and it is something that the university takes very seriously. I'm hoping that none of you have any issues, and one of the things that is the worst is that students often don't mean to do it, and so like you're thinking, even like on your take-home term test, because it's going to be submitted through Quirkus, means that it automatically goes through Turnitin. One of the things that happens is, oh, you know, I meant to go back and I meant to kind of change things into my own words or paraphrase it, and often you just copied a block of text, you completely forgot that you've done it. There's no intent to do something bad, but you just simply forgot. And the worst thing that you can do is to copy paste. So try to write out the notes off in the margin and then write it in your own words. But again, the better way, if you are running short of time and you're not sure you've had the opportunity to go back and review it and to check that you haven't copied and pasted something inadvertently, just ask me for extra time. I would prefer that you ask me for time, tell me that I might have done this, and so I don't want to submit it yet because I'm kind of concerned that I might have copy-pasted something because I was in a bit of a rush and I'd like a couple of extra hours to do so. I'm happy to do that. I really want to avoid any issues, especially like in your 4th year. No one needs that kind of aggravation. Do you all know how to cite? You feel comfortable citing? So we are going to have a librarian coming in for like a half-hour session to just make sure that you know how to properly cite things. If there's any ideas that have come from another paper, then usually we ask you to put the citation in there. That idea came from that paper, but you have written all of that in your own words. And who else outside of the librarian could you ask for help? Yes, me. I'm happy to help. Like it's part of my job to make sure that you're on track in this course. So here is where you get to do a little blind spot check with me. Is there anything that I've forgotten, or things that you're not clear about, or things that I can help you with? Am I missing something? Like I have lots of blind spots. I think in my head that it's all good. Have I missed something? Is there something that you're just like, I need to know this. Please tell me. Nothing. Nothing? Nothing? Really? No. Okay. Okay. If you do happen to think of anything, feel free to jot it down on the orange paper. Like there's nothing you're curious about. Okay, so I had a good summer. So if you're curious, I had a great summer. I think also, like, I'm excited by courses. I don't know if you're excited by courses. I'm excited by courses this semester. I'm hoping all of you will have a fantastic semester. Can tell you last year we only had one student who did not sort of meet the A average in the course, and there were a lot of things happening, and we're trying to help the student now, but there were a lot of things happening. But the class average was actually really great. I'm hoping that you guys have as good an experience this year as well. I do hope if you are uncomfortable going in to talk to your profs, that you'll use me sort of as a little model, that you can come in and chat with me. I'm not really all that intimidating. And then hopefully you'll get some more comfort. The more you practice something, the better off you're going to be. And I hope that you have a great semester here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a really short lecture. So I know it's a little early, so why don't we take a 15-minute break? So we'll come back at 11 o'clock. So right now it's 10:45. This part of the lecture you're actually going to need. So it will be the first take-home question that you get, and you'll have a total of 3 take-home questions. They're all like 1 page, 450 words maximum. And I'm going to give you an example. If you're in this class, if you ask for anything, I'm happy to provide it. So I'm going to give you like an example of what a take-home term test looks like. You'll be able to see why it only takes about 6 hours in total to do the writing and editing. And then I'm also going to give you a little bit of time to think about who you might want to work in groups of 4 or 5 with in this course. And we'll come back at around 11 o'clock. Please help yourselves to whatever you feel like you want to nosh on. And if you have finished the orange sheet, you can just leave it here at the desk.